Hi, I'm Dara, and this is A Right Way. I want to talk a little bit about writing from your own experience. So, it can be tricky to write from a deeply personal place. And you have to decide as a writer, what are your boundaries? Like, what are you comfortable writing about or sharing, and what you want to keep to yourself. But on some level, with whatever script we write or any story, we are infusing a piece of ourselves into it. And to me, when you can accomplish that, then that story is more grounded and so much more authentic. So, finding out what those boundaries are, obviously, for each person is going to vary. And if I start writing a script about, my dad's name is Greg, do I change the character's name to Craig? Dad, are you watching? But anyway, I digress because it doesn't have to be as basic as just changing character names based on the person in your life. It could be more in depth where you kind of decide on a deeper level that something that you experienced deserves to be on that page. And for the record, I do recommend changing character names if they are inspired by real people or events. But anybody that's close to you that actually does ultimately come around to read that script, they're probably going to know, like, hey, you probably wrote that. That's me in there, So there is, an element of that to consider. But we are typically following that mantra, whether we know it or not, that write what you know. And the more experiences that you have, sometimes, like, for example, there are examples of writers who maybe they started writing right after college and they got that first Hollywood writing job and they were off to the races. And then they started writing, and maybe they're not so much writing from what they know, but they're doing extensive research to bring those characters to life. And then you could have a situation where maybe it's a person who starts their career much later in life and they've experienced a lot of day jobs and they've experienced, family life, and they've experienced all the ups and downs that come with living. And now, later on down the line, they become a writer and they truly are drawing from that personal experience of what they've been through. And sometimes, every once in a while, there's a space where you can become a writer, and even Hollywood may look for someone like you if you have lived through an experience and you want to become a consultant on a project to make sure that it's more grounded and authentic. So if they are writing a piece about firefighters and you are a firefighter or you have that experience in your wheelhouse, maybe you can come and bring things to the table so that that script and that story rings true. Because since I've never been a firefighter before, I would have to do extensive research and talk to firefighters anyway to try to craft that story and bring it to life. But if I did have that experience, I would know right away, like, what makes sense, who goes first inside of a burning building, and what kind of equipment it is, and how heavy it is, or what are all the different obstacles that they may face. Another example is just taking in experiences of people around you. So even if it's not a personal experience, so to say, like when I lived in New York City, it's 1,000 stories just sitting there quietly riding the subway. You may see a couple get on the train arguing. You may see a person, a panhandler, asking for change coming through from car to car to car, and how each person interacts with that person that is, soliciting to try to see if they can get a few coins or a few dollars as they go from car to car. So there are stories in there. You may even have a situation where, it's something more fun and lighthearted, where a person flirts with another person on the other end of the train car, and you see where that exchange goes. So, uh, as much as I like to talk, there are moments when I'm in public places where I'm very quiet and I'm just listening to all the sounds around me and how people interact with each other, and that can become a framework for a story as well. So, writers need to be super observant and think about your own life. Think about pieces of what is most intriguing about you. And also, like, you may not feel comfortable writing the deep, dark secrets from your past, but in a weird way, if you do decide to write that script, you might be surprised where it takes you, because when and if it gets out into the world, you'll quickly realize that you're not alone in that. And that's the connectivity that audiences will have with that particular story, because maybe they're secretly going through the same thing too. So give it all some thought and find ways that you can comfortably share pieces of your story, or maybe not so comfortably, to craft and create something amazing. Thank you for watching.